How did you make an entitled passenger regret choosing your route? The passenger in 14B, Ralph, started complaining before he even sat down on our flight to Denver in May. He looked at me in the middle seat and said I was too big to be sitting there even though I'm average sized. He said people my size should have to buy 2 seats or sit in a special section. He demanded I move so he could have more room, but the flight was completely full. He told the flight attendant that I was encroaching on his space when I hadn't even unbuckled my seatbelt yet. The flight attendant looked at us and could see I was sitting normally within my seat boundaries. She told Ralph that everyone was seated properly and to please sit down so we could depart. Ralph huffed and dropped into his seat, immediately spreading his legs wide into my space and putting his elbow over the armrest into my area. When I politely asked him to stay in his own space, he said he paid for comfort and I should deal with it. He said if I didn't like it, I could stand for the 4-hour flight. He then pulled out his phone and started playing videos at full volume without headphones. The flight attendant asked him to use headphones and he said he forgot them, so everyone would just have to tolerate it. She said he couldn't play audio without headphones and he'd need to watch with subtitles or read something. Ralph turned to me and said this was my fault for making him stressed with my presence. He said if I hadn't been so large, he wouldn't need entertainment to distract himself from the discomfort. I'm 5'6" and weigh 140 pounds, but Ralph kept insisting I was taking up too much space. During takeoff, Ralph started eating the smelliest food possible. He'd brought tuna sandwiches, boiled eggs, and some kind of fermented fish his wife had packed. The smell was overwhelming in the confined space. The woman in 14C was actually gagging. When I asked if he could wait until after the flight to eat such strong-smelling food, he said I was probably just jealous because I clearly ate everything in sight. He said maybe the smell would motivate me to diet. The flight attendant had to come over again when Ralph started kicking the seat in front of him because the person reclined slightly. He said reclining seats should be banned and anyone who used them was selfish. The passenger in front turned around and asked him to stop kicking. Ralph said he'd stop when the seat went back up. The flight attendant told Ralph that passengers had the right to recline and he needed to stop kicking immediately or there would be consequences. Ralph waited until she left and started kicking again but lighter, so it was just constant annoying taps. That's when I decided Ralph needed to experience his own medicine. I started by accidentally spilling my water on his tray table when we hit the tiniest bit of turbulence. The water ran right onto his laptop keyboard and his documents. Ralph jumped up screaming about his destroyed work. I apologized profusely and said the turbulence caught me off guard. I offered him napkins but made sure to knock over his coffee in the process of reaching for them. Now his pants were soaked with hot coffee and his laptop was definitely damaged. Ralph called for the flight attendant demanding I be arrested for destruction of property. She asked what happened and I explained about the turbulence. Several passengers confirmed we'd hit a bump and that accidents happen. Ralph had to sit in wet pants for the remaining 3 hours. Next, I started doing everything Ralph had done but worse. I spread my legs wide, taking up all the space under his seat where he'd put his bag. When he complained, I said I paid for comfort too. I pulled out my phone and started watching cooking shows at medium volume, just low enough that the flight attendant wouldn't say anything but loud enough to be annoying. When Ralph complained, I said I forgot my headphones just like he did. Then I opened my lunch, which my friend had packed specially for this trip. She worked at a specialty cheese shop and had given me the strongest, smelliest cheeses available. I'm talking about cheese that smelled like feet mixed with garbage. I also had kimchi, dried squid, and century eggs. The combination of smells was so intense that people 3 rows away were complaining. Ralph was turning green and had to use his air sickness bag. When he begged me to put the food away, I said he was probably just jealous of my gourmet meal. I ate everything slowly, making sure to chew with my mouth slightly open so he could hear every bite. The woman in 14C was laughing quietly because she'd heard everything Ralph had said to me earlier. She even offered me some of her garlic spread to make the smell worse. For the rest of the flight, I made sure Ralph was miserable. I accidentally elbowed him every time I adjusted my position. I sneezed without covering my mouth in his direction, though I didn't actually spray anything. I drummed my fingers on the armrest constantly. I stood up to use the bathroom 8 times, making him get up each time. When he refused the 5th time, I said loudly that I had a medical condition and was he really going to make me have an accident? Everyone turned to stare at him with disgust and he had to move. The best part came during landing. Full story on channel, link below.